Marco,
Sean,
Vyroom, Vyroom.
I know. You ready engine on?
Engine on with the AI inside. That's
Oh
the
yeah.
the, the Vyroom, Vyroom,
So
Vyroom.
are you just
Yes,
telling me that you don't trust my driving and you'd rather AI
I
drive you to Las Vegas?
I would never say that. I'd let people
You
figure that
should.
out on their
You should.
own.
Well, it's that time of the year that we go through the desert. We get to Las Vegas. We meet a lot of cool people that we have been meeting many of them for many years now. I think we said it was at number 11 as ITSP magazine, and every year we meet somebody new. But what is exciting is that we start the coverage for Black Hat 2025 even earlier, which is right now.
I know, and I mean, chats on the road. It's a tradition for us, and we get a preview of what's going on at the events. We get to talk to keynotes and sponsors and other speakers, and I'm thrilled to have Rupesh on from Akamai. Rupesh, good to see you again.
Same here, same here. Thank you so much for having me, and excited to be at Black Hat 2025. It's amazing that the time flies by when you're having fun.
Exactly.
Exactly. You're definitely one of those that it's become a tradition to talk with before, during, and sometimes even after the event. So, very excited to see you.
Same here, same here.
So let's get straight into it. So clearly, your team is constantly innovating. You're leading market trends. You're watching market trends. Um, what are you sharing with folks this year at Black Hat from Akamai in terms of? I mean, we can't escape the AI part, right? But so
Yeah,
AI and anything else you want to highlight in terms of what you expect to share with folks.
now that's as you mentioned, like cannot escape AI, and it's everywhere, and it's soon going to be part of our everyday lives. The way the adoption and the momentum is happening, so we're coming in, with a very sort of clear point of view when it thinking about accelerating AI, but also securing AI, and then what is happening with AI in so many different ways. So we'll be talking about securing generative AI at runtime, right? So what can we do to secure at runtime all the different Gen AI apps that are popping up? How are the bots evolving? Because we're seeing a lot of AI scraper bots that are constantly scraping information so they can kind of put that in their models and training and learning and provide responses, right? And the third area is, why APIs are exposed, more than ever, because a lot of the APIs actually power the AI ecosystem. So three things: AI security at runtime, what's happening with AI bots, and then the importance of API security.
So we're going to talk about all three of these in a little more detail when we see you on site as well. But maybe a sneak preview of some of the bot activity that perhaps you're seeing on the ground and in customer sites.
So the whole kind of AI scraper bots has just taken off this year in 2025 because a lot of these LLMs are really kind of trying to get better, and they're learning and educating and training and like this constant on mode. So we at Akamai saw 150 billion, 150 billion, bot scraping attacks, and we published a blog on this thing. It's available. It's a ginormous number if you think about it. I think it's even bigger than the number of stars in the universe. So a lot of activity that is taking place, and we are starting to see some interesting kind of friction points with certain business models. So if you think about, if I'm a publisher, right? So my job is to create content or provide content, whether it is in news, whether it's in media, whether it is somewhere else, and all of this is being scraped by the bots and kind of shown or represented to the user that is querying that. And I'm kind of in a tough place because my monetization has a big impact of it. So we are seeing this impact to different industries as we go, and I think we're just at the cusp of agentic, right? So if agentic AI starts to take off, it's going to be more machines talking with machines, etc. So a lot of concerns, whether it is shadow AI, whether it is bots, whether it is attacks that we're seeing on the ground, etc. And the numbers are amazing. I think it was like more than 70% of the enterprises have had an AI related incident in the last 12 months. Gartner has a report on that. We're seeing prompt injections, we're seeing jailbreaks, data manipulation, data poisoning, toxic language, hallucination. The list goes on. So you get the point.
Yeah, I get the point. We live in the future and in a sci-fi world, right? I'm rereading Asimov now. I don't know if you're familiar with what he does, but when you talk about robots, and he wrote it like in 1935, 1940s, and now we're living that future. So when you talk about agentic AI, I just envision this battle of the bots, which is not just bots mechanical; they're actually thinking machines. So I'd like to hear what you think is going to be, because it's definitely going to be the buzz agentic AI this
Right.
year. I'm putting some of my money on that roulette, on that number. So how are you addressing this with your customers? Is it fear? Is it optimism? What is it?
So I think there are two parts to it, right? Let's talk about sort of the promise of AI, and let's talk about sort of agentic AI. And I'm personally a believer that the AI era is transformational, revolutionized, evolution, whatever you want to say, but it's going to change the way we do things in a very, very big way, and a lot of gains to sort of humankind, right? In terms of the work, the business processes, the how things evolve, etc. So very positive on that. I think along that journey, there's going to be a lot of sort of adaptability that is needed. So one example, I was listening to, I think it was Wall Street Journal's podcast, and it talks about that Amazon will have more than 1 million robots, and the robots will surpass the number of employees that might have, and all of that is going to pivot over the next 5 to 10 years. And the obvious reaction is that, oh my God, what's going to happen? You hear headlines on, hey, you don't need software developers because AI will do all the coding. And then you hear about all of these business processes are going to be agentic AI powered, which means that they are all going to do all of this work in the background, which is fantastic. But when I really think about the cyber aspects of it, or the cybersecurity aspects of it, and the exposures, right, the attack surfaces, the complexities that it is bringing forward, I am concerned. I am concerned. I'm nervous. I'm concerned about the privacy, the trust. Do I trust an agentic workflow to carry my PII or my credit card information to make a reservation or plan a trip for me, right? And then where does it reside? Because a lot of AI, it's not like a database you can go to a row and say delete this information, right? Once it has it, it lives. And that is the biggest fear, that as more and more of this automation kicks in, what happens to all this information? How is it going to be utilized, etc.? So concerned about that, but I'm pro in terms of the future.
Yeah, endless number of scenarios there, and I want to maybe talk about a couple things here together. And I know there's this idea. I mean, looking at this from a risk perspective, what you're leaning in on here a bit, but there's the bigger business picture of what does it mean to get this right, and I think with that, as companies kind of build out their AI enabled business, they're using agents, they're using services, they're using APIs, and the exposure, the information they're providing, the exposure that they're creating is tremendous, which could impact all the workflows. I mean, connecting all this stuff makes it complex, and we know complexity drives risk up as well. So your thoughts on the value and importance of getting it right, connected to this world of tremendous exposure that we're creating.
So we're definitely in a very hyper connected world, right? Everything is like connected to everything, and whether it's the robots, whether it's the cars, whether it's the machines, whether it's the humans, whether it's the workforce, whether it's a supply chain, everything connected to everything. And we see sort of, APIs at the core of it, right? Because the APIs are providing that sort of, enablement, even in the world of AI. And they are the backbone of AI, if you think about it, right? Every LLM integration, every agentic workflow, every autonomous decision is going to be tying back to APIs. So securing, AI is going to require securing APIs, and we saw some of that with one of the recent, McDonald's was in the news recently about some data leakage that happened. And you go back underneath all of that, and it is tied to securing APIs, right? So we have to think about that the infrastructure layer or the communication layers or the software layers that are powering the AI and the agentic workflows, those need to be very systematically secured. We also see a lot of business logic related abuse that takes place, and agentic could be very concerning when it comes to business logic abuse. Like our internal, telemetry of the data that we see shows that almost like 40% of the attacks are business logic attacks when it comes to API security. So I feel, there is a lot of risk. There is a lot of work to be done. I think customers need to think about, enterprise need to think about how do you do it in a very, kind of thoughtful way where security is an enabler to the future of AI. But it has to go hand in hand, not an afterthought.
Yep. That sounds. Yep. That security by design is still that chimera that we're
Right.
that we're all chasing.
Yeah.
Um, I know you're giving a talk there. It's on firewall for AI. Interesting. I'd like to hear a little bit about that.
So at RSA, we talked about a new product that we launched, which is the firewall for AI. A lot of great feedback from customers, from
Mm-hmm.
industry analysts. We won some awards at RSA and afterwards. So we're launching a AI security capability focused on runtime, and the use cases are all around Gen AI apps and LLM based apps, etc. And what we will do at RSA is we'll have demos, we'll show how the capabilities work, but it's a purpose built capability that is all focused on AI runtime threats, whether it is prompt injection, whether it is input output, whether it is things related to remote code execution, whether it is toxic language hallucination, you name it, compliance violation. So all of that, and we are super excited for two other reasons. One is that we're able to provide this capability at scale, because latency, performance, all of these things matter because there's lots of transactions taking place, and we have a very easy to deploy kind of model, right? So that is what we will showcase at Black Hat, and we'll show at the booth, and we'll talk about it, with the demos and the use cases.
And is there a specific use case that CISOs might think they have covered with their traditional firewall and other network and perhaps even perimeter protections that you can flag for them easily? Say, you might want to reconsider what you're looking at and how you're viewing this.
So we've seen that, right? We've seen that in many examples that, the normal thinking is that, hey, a web application firewall, if it is protecting me, then it'll also protect my sort of, AI agents or chatbots or conversational agents and those interactions that are taking place. But we've shown CISOs again and again that, prompt injections is a very different, this is all session based. And then you're also not just looking at input, you're also looking at the output, right? In terms of what is the model, what is the AI agent actually processing, and how are they responding back, right? Are they, giving out information that they should not be? And we have seen, many. One example is that we looked at for one customer around 100,000 requests over a period of time, and the system came back and said 6% is flagged. In the world of cybersecurity, 6% is a very big number in terms of what we were flagging for PII, for toxic, for compliance, for prompt injection, et cetera, et cetera. So, many of these examples we're starting to see, and we're starting to see not just financial services. We see it in healthcare. We see so many different industries, right, that are starting to really power everything with conversational AI agents, and we're here to solve those problems.
Speaking of power, and I'll change that to empower the CISO and their teams. What do you hope they kind of latch onto this year at Black Hat and speaking with you and your team? What do you think they'll walk away with that will change the way they run their programs?
I think today, I really think that the CISOs, the security teams, need to kind of go from the higher level discussion to a lot more sort of what do I need to do, right? What is relevant in my environment? Like, you don't want as a security professional to be in a meeting with the rest of your AI innovation team and kind of not fully understanding what is being done and what is going to be the ramification of that, right? So let's make Black Hat or any of that industry event as an opportunity to learn and go deeper and have those deeper conversations, because a lot of the talent that is there on the Black Hat floor is very smart individuals. Like, even from Akamai, we have a number of threat researchers that are going to present. They're going to be there, they're available, have a roundtable, have a conversation. But let's go like 3, 4, 5 levels deeper, right, on what needs to be done, how should we think about it, and kind of get in front of the innovation versus the high level kind of big ticket statements on, hey, AI is here, what are we doing, to let's get to the brass tacks.
Which brings me to think, like, going down at the level and dig deeper into that conversation, but also when you involve the business, again, not lead with fear. I mean, you say gotta be hand in hand, right? You're concerned, you're worried as everybody else, but there are opportunities. So how do you balance that? And maybe, what do you think? You know, how do you think company can get it that right? I mean, again, sure, think ahead, but
Right.
some specific advices maybe.
Yeah, I think, clearly, you know, business leaders, they're going to make some decisions. It's a boardroom level conversation. Let's go. Because at the core of the value proposition of AI is tremendous amount of, whether it is the customer user experience differences, whether it is personalization, whether it is operational efficiencies, whether it is speed, like all of this is real, right? Because the technology has the ability to deliver on those promises. So I think from a business side, that is all being driven very, very rapidly. And I think what we need to do is bring the business and the security leaders together and think about security as an enabler. But also, I think in the AI, examples, maybe a lot more focused on red teaming, discovery, those kind of things, because it's a lot of shadow AI, early days. So let's at least get a handle on what's going on. Let's build the governance structures. Let's get the processes going, rather than kind of be a little bit on, hey, I don't know, so I'm not going to do anything, and then oops, something happened. There's enough technology and capabilities available in AI security today to make the progress that we need to.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been to a few non-security conferences, legal tech and fintech and health tech, and the of course AI is driving a lot of those events and a lot of conversations there. We're seeing lawyers write vibe code, writing agents, AI agents, and all kinds of fun things. And I think the one takeaway from being part of those conversations, coming at it from a security perspective, is security really needs to find a way to open up those conversations and be part of them, and bring to them their peers and the stakeholders within the business what you and your team, Rupesh, have to say. You see the stuff as you're working with all your customers and prospects. You see the activities that are taking advantage of the innovations and the technologies that are being deployed. So where can they find you and your team at Black Hat? Because people work in these different industries and they need help. So how can they find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we will be at Black Hat on the exhibit floor, and we're going to be 1457 booth, or 1457 is our booth number. Please, stop by. As I mentioned, we have a lot of talented folks from threat research and solution engineering. A lot of intelligent folks that are working day to day with the customers, with the industry experts that can really go dig deeper. And then we have a number of presenters also during the kind of main Black Hat and DEF CON agenda, right? So a lot to kind of take in, but stop by at 1457. That's our booth number.
We will certainly see you there. I think we're going to have another chat with you, Rupesh, and the
Yeah.
team, digging deeper. Perhaps if folks want us to focus in on something, they can let us know. But I'm excited to talk about APIs and bots and the whole agentic AI space and looking at the content, looking at the sessions, and knowing what's going on. And your team has the insights there. So
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Looking forward to it. And again, Black Hat is a great event for security professionals. We want to, help. We want to be there, and we're going to bring the message with clarity, as I mentioned early on. Right? It's all about AI security for runtime. It's about the AI scraper bots, and it's about securing APIs as they power the AI.
sounds good. Well,
Okay.
thanks everybody for listening to this episode of Chats on the Road to Black Hat in Las Vegas. Rupesh, it's always a pleasure chatting with you. Looking forward to seeing you on location in Las Vegas. And anybody else who's there, find Rupesh and team at the booth. Perhaps you'll see us there as well.
But most importantly, not everybody's going to be able to be there. And that's why we're going to be there. And we're going to bring this conversation, again, before, during, after the event. And as much fun as Las Vegas may sound, it's really hot. So you're not going to miss out. But, luckily, the place where Black Hat happened, it's nice and cool. And we're going to hang out in there. So we're looking forward to see you, Rupesh.
Sure. Yep, same here.
If you're lucky enough to go, we're excited to see you there. Yep. If you're lucky enough to not have to go, we're excited to connect with you online.
And I like the way you just used the word lucky 3 times, right?
There you go. Lucky, lucky, lucky. All right. Thanks, Rupesh. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.